Hi everybody, Big Red here, BoLS, and today we are going over another one of our product reviews. We are looking at Dust Warfare, the core rulebook. This is the big book that you need to buy if you want to play Dust Warfare. This is from Fantasy Flight Games. This is their first foray into full tabletop miniatures, and it's pretty exciting product line, I have to say. We've talked about it a little bit before on BoLS. Let's go over the basics of the book here. First of all, as you can see, Dust Warfare, core rulebook, Fantasy Flight Games, a miniature game by Andy Chambers. So the ex-overfiend of Warhammer 40,000 was called over by FFG to do this for him for use with Dust Tactics miniatures, and there's a lot of, you may want to know exactly what that means. Well, basically, Dust Tactics was the board game, and it came first, and it's been out for about a year or so. And all the miniatures that you go out there, if you go into your store or you go to your online store, most of the actual miniatures are technically considered to be Dust Tactics miniatures, but they're just miniatures. So to play Dust Warfare is you just grab Dust Tactics miniatures and this book, and ta-da! Now you have an entire different game that you can play. So the book itself, as you can see here, kind of standard fare. We have 144 pages. It is full color. It's hardcover. Kind of give you a very, very quick, that's the BoLS book, in case you're wondering. We have, you can see here, kind of, you know, basic kind of stuff. And we'll go over it and see what we got here. First of all, when you look at the table of contents here, you'll see that the book was made by Andy Chambers and Mac Martin. Kind of co-wrote that. Alessio Cavatore was involved in editing, and then everyone else here who you see. Rough table of contents here, breaking it down. In general, you're going to start off with a 15-page introductory section, as you can see here, and this is the section that tells you all about the history. Dust is set in 1947 in an alternative history, World War II, so you get all the basic what happens, breaks it all down year by year, 1940, and it starts following World War II, and then about 1943 it all goes off the rails, and all the crazy stuff starts happening. And you get all the history there. You get a synopsis of the three major factions that are in the game. You get the Allies, you get the Axis, you get the Sino-Soviet Union. You get the big world map, which is very cool. Then we move on to the rules themselves. We start off with basics. This is a 10-page section that's just the bare bones. You know, all you guys are wargamers. You get, you know, how do you roll dice? How do dice work? What's a unit? How do you measure things? You know, movement arcs, basic unit stats, all the kind of stuff that you expect. Then you get into Chapter 2, the game. This is kind of the meat of the game system. This is a 25-page section. Now you're getting into the turn sequence. You know, good illustrations. Art is fantastic. It's very clear. It's very clear between, you know, these are rules. This is a little, you know, every rule has a matching illustration. All the miniatures and art are in there really, really well. So just kind of flip through that. Of course, you get, you know, all the lavish kind of stuff there. Then we move on to, after we get through all that, how to deal with heavy walkers, you get our splash page of just what you would expect from any tabletop miniatures game. There it is, being played on a 4x6 with, you know, miniatures and squads and kind of, you know, buildings and all the normal stuff you expect. Chapter 3 takes us into special abilities. This is where you get, this is a master listing. It's about 10 pages long of all the special rules that units may or may not have. Some of them are by unit, some of them are individual weapons. So that was unit special rules, weapon special rules. Going past that, we get on to battles. This is interesting. This is basically how you actually fight games. This is a 15-page section, and one of the really cool things about Dust Warfare is that, talking to Mac Martin, one of the designers of it, this game was built from the ground up to be tight. It was built from the ground up for not only casual but competitive play. When you get into battles, you will absolutely see this. So, for instance, you get things like, it's not just here's missions you play, it's broken down into here's tournament scenarios. You get an entire section on this is how you run competitive games. If you want to play Dust Warfare competitively, you can. I mean, and it lists the whole thing. Two players come to the table, they're going to roll dice to determine this, they're going to roll dice to determine that, and they have this really cool battle builder section here that's designed specifically for a competitive environment where both players get this kind of pool of dice and they trade those dice in to do things like, so there's a default, as an example, there's a default set of objectives, deployment, and battlefield conditions that and then players are going to spend their points to modify those. So one person, and you of course don't have enough points to get what you want in all three areas. So there's going to be this kind of horse trading going on where, you know, if you really want to affect deployment, you want to put all your points there. The other guy, you know, is probably going to put most of, you know, you'll probably get that, but the other guy is going to be free to get what kind of battlefield conditions he wants or what type of objective. So there's this whole kind of metagame strategy that's on that, specifically in tournaments. You also get really neat, and then you get the rules on how to you know, what the different variations of deployment are, the objectives, the conditions, how you place terrain in both casual and competitive environments. Really neat stuff. Past that, once you're done with all that stuff, then you get campaign scenarios. You get a big set over here. This is the stuff made for not competitive environments. So you get all kinds of kind of neat, you know, kind of more in-depth, more oddball kind of stuff. You also in Dust, I went past it, but I'll just mention it here in passing. You do specifically get things like there's a table that tells you if you want to play games of this many points, play it on this size table. If you want to play games of this many points, play it on that size table. And you can definitely see how the designers have planned for the space to grow based on how big or small you want your game to be, which kind of avoids, you know, a lot of the problems that you see in other game systems where you have really sparse tables or really jam-packed, you know, overstuffed tables. Once you're done with the mission environment, the last third of the book is basically you get a 15-page section on each of the 2 factions that are in the core Dust Warfare book. You get the allies. This will give you any special rules about weapons that are used by the allies, and then you get all the stats of all the units that the default game has. You can see there's just a whole bunch of them here. They're special characters, and then you have the Axis. Same thing. You get another 15 pages here. Goes over all their special equipment. You get, you know, really nice models. You get all the stats, everything you need to play, and then at the very end you get, you know, your index and your master summaries of equipment and tokens and all that kind of stuff that you expect. So there we go. That is once again Dust Warfare by Fantasy Flight Games. This book has a full price excuse me, of $39.95, and it's cheaper if you want to go through an e-tailer of your choice, I'm sure. And there we go. This is on shelves now, and we highly endorse it. Talk to you guys later.